is The Hub on Hollywood. I'm James.
I'm Jamie. And we love movies. Yes, James. And every week the people come to us. They're clamoring for information. They want to know what we have to share, what we're talking about. What are we talking about, James?
So we have so many developing stories and things that are just breaking, just dropping right now online. Borat, do you remember that crazy film in 2006 that changed America as we know it and led to countless impressions and catchphrases? Borat 2, a sequel, coming. The trailer just dropped and it looks intense and it looks crazy as of course you would expect any Borat movie to look. So we're getting into that. Bill and Ted facing the music, also facing a lot of green. They made a lot of money, not so much, but they made a surprising amount, considering everything, the pandemic and all. Also, Disney, we have a new miniseries that's coming to Disney Plus, a superhero MCU miniseries. Of course, we're hitting those casting calls. Actors are also worried that theaters are going extinct, and so they're reaching out to our lawmakers. And also, locally, the Roxbury International Film Festival is underway. I speak to the executive director about that, and we get into it. But first, thank you again so much for tuning in to this week's episode of The Hub on Hollywood. If you are not already, please subscribe to us on YouTube, like, and comment down below. Also on Facebook, sharing helps out a lot. If you are on any of the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, as I mentioned, we're there. Just follow us at Hub on Hollywood. You can also listen to us on any major podcasting streaming service. All right. So, Jamie.
Yes, you're so good at those teases. I'm just wanted to give you a little golf clap there.
I'm excited for our show now, and so hopefully everybody else is watching will stick through the whole thing. But let me ask you, Borat 2, there were rumors that he was cited earlier this year making the rounds. Yeah. Did you watch the first one?
I did, but it was so long ago and it was so uncomfortable that I think I blocked a lot of that out of my memory. But, obviously it was a sensation, and that's where a lot of terms in our lexicon came from. The very nice, and,
my
a few
wife.
other... And my wife. Yes, several of those. So it's kind of interesting to see the impact that it really had on kind of the subconsciousness of America. So I don't know how he can top himself, but it seems like he will. We watched you and I watched the trailer for this a little bit earlier, and it was was my first response.
And I believe that we still haven't seen the worst or the best of the film at all that's in the trailer. Of course, they're going to keep that for the very best. But Borat was a smash success back in 2006. The long official title is Borat, Cultural Learnings of America for Make, Benefit, Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan. So that's the new title. The previous title was just as long. Where was it? So that's the name of the first title. My mistake. The title of the sequel, again, the trailer just dropped for it, Borat, subsequent movie film, delivery of prodigious bribe. I swear I could say this before. I'm just flubbing right now. Delivery of prodigious bribe to American regime for making benefit once glorious nation of Kazakhstan. So instead of movie theaters...
Another golf clap.
Thank you. Those are a lot of words. Amazon Studios, they are releasing this on October 23rd. And Sacha Baron Cohen, he's back, of course, as Borat. The trailer, as we just mentioned, it opens up in Kazakhstan. And Borat's talking to the camera about how the first film brought a lot of shame to his hometown. But he's been given a new mission by the government to deliver his daughter as a bride, as a gift to those in the White House, and this already looks insane. Oh
gosh,
yeah,
it's as cringy as you can imagine. And as that trailer opens up, you see the people of Kazakhstan really do truly hate him. And then he comes to the United States, and there's just a series of scenes that are just as equally uncomfortable. The daughter that you mentioned, at one point he takes her to, I don't know, a doctor's office, and because she had accidentally swallowed a plastic baby from a cupcake, and he's like, I put the baby in my daughter. put baby in your daughter by accident, something like that. Is, oh my god. So
Yeah, this is covering an array of things because initially, like as you mentioned, the trailer does give some pretty good laughs already. Initially, when Borat's walking down the street, because the movie is obviously taking place in the real world, people recognize him. And so people are yelling out his name on the street. They're yelling out Borat. They're yelling out Borat. And so he has to go under disguise to, as you mentioned, in that doctor's office. He looks like somebody else undercover, not as Borat, or else people would call him out so quickly. But according to slashfilm.com, this movie is going to be even more political. It's targeting the Trump administration. The film not only features the president's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani is going to be in this movie apparently, but
does he know that? Does he know that?
He knows it now, and this is going to be insane because according to slashfilm.com, not only does it get political, not only does it include members of the Trump administration, but this also explores the relationship between Trump, the president, and the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
So he is going there. He is going there. And so it seems like this is not just laughs. These are full. He's not pulling any punches. These are full jabs. We did see a scene in the trailer of him at. It looked like the GOP convention.
Yeah, it was at CPAC.
Yeah.
And Vice President Mike Pence, he's apparently affiliated, or he's incorporated into this movie, as well as the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. And it's pretty interesting. Speaking about the pandemic, did you see in the first movie he wears that G-string bikini that just covers his junk barely?
The banana hammock? Yes, I remember the banana hammock. Yeah.
And so they have a PSA tied to the coronavirus saying wear a mask, and instead of the bikini, he's wearing a mask that's stretched, that's covering just his bits, and like he's laying on his side, kind of like Burt Reynolds, just as hairy as Burt Reynolds. But yeah, this movie getting very political, aimed directly at the Trump administration, and I'm not sure if this is coincidence. I think this was done purposefully, but it's coming out this month in October 23rd, just a few weeks before the election, basically 2 weeks before the election. And so this is already everybody's going to be talking about this. Now, whether that's going to sway, whatever is incorporated in the movie, whether that's going to sway the election, I'm not sure, just because people are voting early. And so, much earlier than the movie's being released. But that's going to be a big topic of discussion. Borat, again, the first one pushed the edges, pushed the boundaries, and went over the boundaries. This one, I can only imagine what they didn't show in the trailer that we're going to see on Amazon Prime.
This one seems like it's jumping off the cliff, James. It is jumping off the cliff. And what I really appreciate about it, though, this is not normally my cup of tea, but just everything that we're hearing about it, what I really appreciate about comedy in general and what he is doing here is that you can push the envelope in ways that you cannot do when you are a straight-laced journalist and you are confined by the rules of, okay, this has to be verified, you have to have sources on this. Like, he can really go for it, and in the spirit of mocking can go further than anyone else. So, I mean, where is he going to go with that, with the Epstein connection and everything that we're hearing about? I don't know, but I am super freaking intrigued to see, and that alone will help get me past all the other cringy parts that I can't really tolerate watch. Like, that's so like, back when they had the shock jocks and stuff like that on TV and the stunt shows and stuff like that, like always pushing the envelope. But this seems like it's got a mission behind it. So that, I think, is what's going to draw me and a lot of other people to see it. Whether or not it's going to have any kind of impact 2 weeks before the election, I have no idea. But what do you think?
Well, yeah, again, I'm not sure if it'll have a huge impact. I know that the first movie, it got a little bit political, not as much as this one sounds. I know that they did talk about 9/11. They talked about President Bush at the time. They talked about again they made, because he's a Middle Eastern from Kazakhstan, Borat the character. Then it had that connotation of, only 5 years after 9/11, emotions are still very high. Patriotism, whether that's real or just for show patriotism, is at a skyrocket level. And he took advantage of that and was able to talk to people by kind of pretending to be on, like, understanding where they're coming from or being on their side, drops their guard. In this scene in the trailer, he apparently spends the night at somebody's home during the pandemic, and they say, because of quarantine, all these places are closed, and then he asked to, spend the night with them.
Yeah.
They let him in, and they talk about, what's more dangerous, Democrats or the coronavirus, and they say Democrats. And so he's able to speak to people who Sacha Baron Cohen may not, I guess, agree with
ideologically.
on a ideological level, but again, under the guise of Borat as this person who, again, maybe not everybody. It seems like impossible that nobody has heard of Borat, because again, in the trailer, he does come out as his fictional character self, very recognizable. So, as we saw, a lot of people did recognize him in the beginning of the trailer, but how much is that going to play into the rest of the movie? It'll be interesting to see.
There's a lot of social experimentation there, on top of just the stupid, gross stuff. So Borat, we will see whether or not this will have the same impact, and this is on Prime Video, correct?
Yeah, Amazon Studios releasing it October 23rd.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
well, speaking about how can we transition this?
I don't know. So speaking of banana hammocks, Disney Plus. No, I'm kidding. But I'm kidding. But speaking of things coming to your streaming services, how about that?
I'll take it.
Okay. What did we want to talk about next? I think I messed up the order.
Oh, no worries. So, yeah, we can talk about Bill and Ted Face the Music. I know that we reviewed the movie that hit on premium video on demand a few weeks ago. I enjoyed it. I liked it. If you liked part 1 and part 2, you're going to really like part 3. Just go watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, so banana hammocks could have been a good transition to that, to Ted and Bill and Ted. Kind of, maybe? You don't think they wear that?
No, I'm not sure if they were wearing any banana hammocks in Bill and Ted 3.
Never mind.
But according to Deadline, the movie was, even though the movie came out, both video on demand and the movie theater, when it came out in theaters, it only released to about 1,000 movie theaters across the country, and it only made about $3 million. However, according to Deadline and their premium video on demand sources, they report that it made around $32 million on video on demand. So that's really good for a film that hadn't been in theaters or hadn't been seen for about 20 years. The film costs an estimated $25 million to make, so it doesn't sound like a huge profit margin, but again, this is on video on demand. It has legs, as in it's already there, so people can pop in whenever they want and watch it, and this movie will eventually make more money. And so this is a good sign for, again, most streaming services, they don't release how much money their movie made unless they're Netflix and they're very popular, and they'll say, hey, look how popular this Netflix original movie was. The failures and the blockbuster disasters, they don't publicize those, and so we won't be getting actual numbers from Disney Plus or from Amazon or from all these other places, but from these sources, it seems like these movies are making a profit. There is a reason for studios and the distributors to continue this relationship of putting these movies out there. That was basically it. I enjoyed Bill and Ted Face the Music Part 3, so watch it. Made a pretty little penny. Yeah, so good
a
for
pretty
that.
little penny. Exactly. And as soon as Borat comes out, we will review it also. If you want to catch our previous reviews, our future reviews, anything and everything that we do here on The Hub in Hollywood, you want to tell us, give us a suggestion for what we should watch, for what we should talk about, go ahead and do that. You can find us anywhere and everywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. You can find us there. We're on iHeartRadio, we're on Apple iTunes, we're on Spotify, and you can also find us on the social medias, James.
Yeah, that's right. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Not on only what is that? Fans only app
Fans
or
only,
whatever. We're not on that.
Okay,
we're not
yeah.
on Fans only. That's like the dirty app where people do things for money. So I hear.
Really? I haven't heard about that one.
Yeah, you hear about influencers and they go on there. Yeah, what is it? I don't even know the website, but OnlyFans, fans only app, whatever. We're not on there, but we'll
so
take
don't
your money.
look for us.
If you want to send us money, we'll just continue doing what we're doing.
We gotta get a Patreon, James. That's what we got. We'll do. We gotta get a Patreon going, and then maybe like for $1 we'll do the Macarena or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
You can start with that.
Yeah, we'll start selling our souls little by little.
Yeah. Well, speaking about selling our souls, Disney. That might be a good transition.
That's perfect. Another one.
Thank you. So I hear that we have a new Disney miniseries in the works, and this is surrounding the MCU.
That's right. Okay, so very exciting. Surrounding the MCU. You might recognize the title is very similar. Miss Marvel. This is not Captain Marvel, but this is Miss Marvel, and it is Marvel's very first Muslim character. So this is the very first Muslim character published in the comics starting in 2014. And the story is about a girl named Kamala Khan, because you gotta have the alliteration. You gotta have the KK, the RR, the JJ, whatever.
It's cool.
And she's a Pakistani-American teen from New Jersey. She looks up to Captain Marvel, so when she gets her own powers, she picks up the name. So she's Miss Marvel, Little Miss Marvel. And she's a polymorph, which means she stretches her arms and legs, a la Stretch Armstrong, which is kind of cool. And so what we're hearing from Deadline is reporting that Disney has cast their Miss Marvel after an extensive, exhaustive, worldwide search. They are picking Iman Vellani, who is an unknown. She has not been in anything yet. She has not been on screen. And so I love this. James. I always love when they bring in a newcomer with a lot of potential and talent. She looks fantastic. She's got the look down. But what I'm most excited about with this character is seeing them interact with all of the other people in the Marvel Universe. What Marvel chief Kevin Feige has been saying is that in addition to this Disney Plus series, Vellani will be appearing in the movies, in the MCU, on the silver screen. So that is going to be so cool. And like I said, I'm most excited about seeing her with Spider-Man, is interacting with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, another younger superhero that he can kind of mentor. They're both from the New York City area. She's across the river, and there's just so much potential for awesomeness there that I'm like kind of shaking a little bit about it because I just really, really want to see it. And it's part of a huge development slate coming out of Marvel because, they've yet to do anything wrong. And those include WandaVision, She-Hulk, a Nick Fury movie. So much. The quality is there, James. The quality is there on the film, on the movie theaters, and the quality is there on the TV shows. What are your thoughts on it?
So, one thing, cool, really excited. I don't know much about the character, but, there are tons of characters out there that I don't know, but this is a good addition. I'm really excited. I feel like this is a new strategy for Disney. They introduce new characters with a miniseries. They get to let the character flesh themselves out, be an actual, character instead of just a stereotype of whatever, box they're put in. So when they do transition to movies, everyone can already just catch on board, and there's already this kind of fan base that's built in. So like with WandaVision is said to be transitioning directly into Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, and She-Hulk, very likely that she's going to be interacting with Mark Ruffalo's Hulk as well as possibly Thor, and maybe even the Guardians of the Galaxy, because Thor is hanging out with those guys in space now. And now with this miniseries, now we're being told that she will be interacting with those on the big screen with the rest of the Avengers and whatnot. And so this may be a strategy, seeing if this works, introducing new characters on a miniseries level. And if they do resonate well with fans, then they graduate to the movies. And now if the series doesn't do well, if the character, it happens to be a flop, whether that's for this or WandaVision or She-Hulk, or any future production, if it doesn't, if it doesn't strike that chord with viewers, then maybe they just keep them on Disney Plus, and maybe eventually they just kind of disappear, into nothing. And so this could be a new strategy. It may work. I am always excited to see more characters from different backgrounds. Now, unfortunately, because when the comic first came out, as you mentioned, back in 2014, of course, there was initial reaction because she's the first Muslim character, and anywhere in the world, there's always going to be that weird pocket of the internet that doesn't like it, that's angry, that's upset for whatever reasons reasons they come up with. And so it was unfortunate when I first heard that they had actually cast this young lady, young woman, Iman Vellani, that the first initial reaction online was, oh, thank goodness she doesn't have social media, or else people would be going to her social media and yelling at her, writing comments and everything. So it's unfortunate that was one of the first reactions that I saw online, people saying, thank goodness she's not on social media, they can't get to her. And so, again, I feel like with more movies or shows where we are able to bring people of color and bring attention to more underrepresented people, which we can talk about later in our interview with Lisa Simmons regarding the Roxbury International Film Festival. The more that we have people of color and more representation, hopefully down the line, it doesn't become shocking. It doesn't become an uproar or a controversy when somebody's cast in a role with somebody who the main character is somebody of color or who is a minority. So hopefully we get to that point.
No, it's really upsetting to see that, because these are such talented and oftentimes kind and wonderful people, and there's just so much ugliness on the internet and sometimes in real life. And sometimes it hits mainstream publications and things like that. So it's really sad to see. But you're right. I think that they're good at insulating. I think that Marvel can be good at insulating their younger actors and taking care of them, at least better than what we've seen in the past. If you'll recall what happened with young Anakin Skywalker in the he grew up. He said the movies wrecked him.
He was bullied. He was made fun of. Critics were terrible to him.
I just really hope that they're taking better care of their younger actors, and it kind of seems like they are. So that's good. But speaking about those who are impacted by their race, John Boyega, who played the stormtrooper turned hero in the new Star Wars series, Finn. He has been outspoken recently about how different his experience was. That because of this color of his skin, that he was attacked. He had people saying, you can't be a stormtrooper, there are no black stormtroopers, and he got to see a lot more ugliness and had to deal with that and the impact of his skin color, which should have absolutely nothing to do with his performance, which is phenomenal. I love Finn. I love Finn. And Kelly Marie Tran also, who was in The Last Jedi and the last film, who got a lot of hate for being Asian and smaller, not traditionally beautiful, and she was bullied off of social media, and that was just in the last couple of years. So, the ugliness is still there, James, but I hope that we're moving in the right direction, and that in the future, like you said, that we won't see that anymore, because it's unnecessary, it's meaningless, and you're going to talk about the Roxbury International Film Festival. This is why we need to see more people of color. This is why we need to see people who represent what the real world looks like, so that this doesn't happen anymore. I'm over it, James. I'm over it. Be nice. Just be nice. It's not that hard. Be nice.
It's not that hard. I find it's harder to be an a-hole than just to, you
gotta really put effort into it. Like, yeah.
I don't know. So to Iman Vellani, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, but from the Hub on Hollywood to you, congratulations. We're wishing you the best.
We're so excited to see you.
Can't wait to see Miss Marvel on Disney Plus.
Woo!
When that does come out. But you know what? I don't know where they're filming Miss Marvel, but if they are filming in the New England region, we're going to definitely let you know if you can be in it, because, of course, we do casting calls.
That's
and
right.
I think it's a great time to get some of those out there.
All right, let's take a break. If you wanna find your breakout role, just like Iman Vellani has found her breakout role, here's a tip. Here are a few places where you can get your toe in the water. Start learning the biz. There are a number of things that are starting to film back in our region. Shrine is filming again. A new AMC series called Kevin Can F Himself. There's just so many things that are being worked on. There's another Disney film. But right now casting. Let's see. Boston Casting is looking for Caucasian 4-year-olds for a feature film. They want you to send pictures, height, weight, and contact information to Boston Casting Submit 4 at gmail.com. That's the number 4, Boston Casting Submit 4 at gmail.com. Let's see here. Boston Casting is also looking for, speaking of representation, African American, Latin, and Asian females between the ages of 60 to 75 for an upcoming project. If that's you or someone you know, pass this along. Boston Casting TV1 at gmail.com for that opportunity. And we've got a big project, a really big, exciting project that we don't know all the details for. But Judith Bouley Casting, they're the folks behind Hubie Halloween, which is coming out soon on Netflix, I believe. They are filming another Netflix film in Boston right now. They're looking for background extras, stand-ins, photo doubles, every creed, every background, every size, ages 5 to 85, ages 5 to 85. And if you all live in the same household, all the better. They're looking for you. They want as many people who live in the same household as possible. Go ahead and go to, that's JudithBouleyCasting.com. So Judith, Judith, Bouley, Bouley, casting.com. And they have an application right there on their site. You can be in the next place. You can be in the next. You can be in the next.
You can be, and I can be, and you can be.
All right, James, you do it.
All right, let's take this away. We're looking at a non-union, ultra-low-budget feature film. The production title, Things We Like and Things We Don't Like. Again, this is for union, non-union. This shooting between... Actually, the date is to be determined, but it's around March and April of next year, shooting in Boston. They are looking for a litany of characters that way too many to actually go through, but... the synopsis is this movie is an ultra-low-budget feature film written and to be directed by a Boston University student in Boston. Let's talk to this person. They follow a young girl, Georgia, as she travels out of the town that she's called home for the first time. The film is written as an ensemble which captures the perspective of multiple characters in their search that is life. You're going to want to email thingswelike.film@gmail.com. Again, they have how many characters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They have like about a dozen characters. Email thingswelike.film@gmail.com. That's exciting. Yeah, we're going to talk to...
Yeah.
Let's try to talk to this person. Adi Jahik. Adi, we're going to reach out to you. Okay. Now we're also looking for, this is Slate Casting. looking for women over 60 years old. We're looking for African American, Hispanic, and Indian women ages 60 plus. The pay is said to be amazing. We'll see. So you need to send a current photo, acting resume, city where you live, contact information, and agent, if you have one, to slateselftape@gmail.com. Slateselftape@gmail.com. Submissions are due ASAP. So send those in ASAPO. Yeah, so I spoke to Lisa Simmons. She's the director of the Roxbury International Film Festival. It is said to be the largest film festival in New England that celebrates people of color. And as we were just talking about previously with Miss Marvel, yeah, very important to be able to talk about and represent those that are not as represented as most. And so here's my interview with Lisa Simmons. Enjoy. And, just to start out, for the pandemic, how are you doing? How have you been doing during this whole thing?
Managing, I think like all of us, just sort of like day by day, trying to get through each moment. But it's been fine. It's been fine.
Yeah. And so I take it this year, obviously, is going to be very different for this year's film festival. To start off, can you tell me about a general rundown of the 22nd Roxbury International Film Festival and what you folks are all about?
Well, I mean, the Roxbury International Film Festival celebrates people of color around the world. So our main mission is to create, to support films that celebrate that, right? And to support films that are what we say provocative, entertaining, and fiercely independent. So a lot of our filmmakers are making films that you aren't going to see within the Hollywood realm, or maybe even big film festivals, although some of them have been. I shouldn't say that. But most of them are these incredible stories that people are telling whether it's about their ancestors, whether it's about Native American land, whether it's about issues around mental health in Black and brown communities, whether it's just entertaining, funny, films that'll give you a good giggle, and films that really sort of push the envelope and are very impactful around activism and change.
And this year is going to be talking about change, a lot different. You're going completely virtual. Can you tell me how this is going to roll out?
Oh my gosh, yes. Good question. I mean, I think all of us in the film festival world have a little bit of fear and trepidation that first day when you're doing your rollout. It's all new to all of us. I love the fact that audiences have come along with us on this and said, you know what, we're in there with you. We love film and we love independent film, and we're going to come and support, whether it's in person or virtual. Of course, it changes. It changes the dynamic because, these films and most films are really made to be watched with other people. You want to be in a theater and feel that sense of other people responding to a film the way you're responding to it. And then the great thing about film festivals, right, is that you get the filmmakers there to talk about their work right after the screening. So we have really tried to sort of create that atmosphere with this year's festival, and we're doing live Q&As. So after every block of films, the filmmakers are coming on live, whatever time it is here, whether it's 9:30 at night or 10:30 in the morning. And then we're doing a big party in the middle of the festival. We're doing panel discussions. So we're really trying to keep these 6 days like compact, like you would be going to a festival. We're doing providing filmmaker hangouts every evening at 10 p.m. Any filmmaker or audience member who wants to come and just sort of hang out and meet each other, because that's really one of the biggest things about festivals. And so we're trying to create that. We're trying to recreate that.
Yeah, and just speaking about, because I take it that you are that you love films, obviously movies, you appreciate them, and I just wanted to ask you really quick, your general thoughts on the industry in general. I know that it's been struggling, obviously in Hollywood and over here in New England. So many productions were put on pause. Now we're slowly opening up theaters once again, but movies aren't. People aren't flocking back just yet. Can I get your thoughts in general about on the state of the industry?
I mean, it's difficult, obviously. I mean, this is an industry that, relies on ticket sales and relies on people coming in and buzzing and having a buzz around films and seeing them in the big screen. Summer was really difficult because you have your big blockbusters and they're meant to be seen on the big screen. But I mean, it's an industry that also can bounce back, and it's an industry that's going to look very different, whether it's on the production side or on the distribution side. So I think that there are different models. People, companies are figuring out new ways to do streaming. Maybe this is an opportunity to provide a more accessible way to see films. So yes, I mean, I think it's the industry has definitely taken a hit, but I think that people love movies, people love filmmakers, people love storytelling, and that's not going to go away. We've seen that. We've seen people going to virtual film festivals. We've seen conversations happening now that anyone can be a part of because you don't have to be in a certain place in a certain space at a certain time. And that's exciting. You see big film festivals opening up their lineup to low cost tickets or maybe even free programming, which never had happened before. So I feel like we're seeing it being a little bit more inclusive as far as being able to go to some of these festivals maybe that you weren't able to go to before, or actually see a film that you might not have been able to see before. So I mean, it's not all bad.
Yeah, and for those who want to watch this film festival, what should they know, the dates and where they can go to log in and watch these movies?
So the best way to find out everything you need to know about the Roxbury International Film Festival is to go to roxfilmfest.com. So that has everything on it, from the parties, from the Q&As, to the FAQ on how to fest, to getting tickets, and to find out, what to do each day. So we're going to have a daily thing each day so you don't miss anything. So that's the best way to go to see what's happening at roxfilmfest.com.
And you're talking about that representation and helping minorities. Can you go over that again and what it means to you?
Well, I mean, this festival started 22 years ago with the idea that local filmmakers of color really needed to be represented in sort of the film festival world. They weren't getting in other film festivals, mainly because the content and the product that they were putting forth was not sort of what traditionally what stories traditionally film festivals were picking up at that time. And so the film festival was created to support those different voices, those more diverse voices of people of color in the world. And we maintain that mission to support local filmmakers, but also to support filmmakers who are creating stories that celebrate people of color, that tell more diverse stories of people of color. And it's international because we support films from all over the world. So our mission is really to be sure that we're bringing forth these stories that are impactful, that are educational, that tell incredible stories that we've never heard before, and to really bring voice and to raise the voice of stories and people and places that we often have never heard about. One of the things that we're doing this year that's new is something called the Daily Script Read. And that is, we have local writers paired up with local actors who are going to read their scripts every day at lunch hour. So starting September 30th through October 5th, every day at noontime, grab your sandwich and your drink and sit down, jump on the Zoom and listen to these new works in progress scripts from local screenwriters and the actors who are going to be bringing those scripts to life.
You know what's funny? I think that's becoming more popular because we saw
Right.
the cast of The Princess Bride
Right.
doing a script read, and High Times of Ridgemont, or we saw Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston. That
Right.
I think those are getting popular again.
It is. It's a great opportunity, right? It's a great opportunity for writers to hear their work being read. It's a great opportunity for actors to work. So it's all good, and it's something that we're doing new. We really wanted to be more supportive of the local film community here in Massachusetts. So we're excited to be able to bring that to folks every day during the festival.
And again, thank you so much for Lisa Simmons joining us to talk about the Roxbury International Film Festival, which is still going on. So look it up. Go watch some films, some documentaries. There's some Q&As and some panel discussions. But again, thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of The Hub on Hollywood. If you are not subscribed yet on YouTube, please subscribe, comment down below, smash that like button. Also on Facebook, give us a share, tell your friends. We are also streaming on every major podcast streaming service, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, all of them. You can listen to us. Now, kind of wrapping up the show, this is a hard-hitting topic, and it really is a big deal because we have some of the world's top filmmakers asking Congress for help. Now, dozens of influential filmmakers joined together to urge Congress to provide assistance to struggling theater owners impacted by the pandemic. The Hollywood Reporter says they partnered with the National Association of Theater Owners, the Directors Guild of America, and the Motion Pictures Association, and signed on this list to lawmakers, both Republican and Democrat. We have directors including Wes Anderson, Judd Apatow, James Cameron, Clint Eastwood, Sam Mendes, Jordan Peele. The list goes on. Martin Scorsese. Goes on and on and on. Taika Waititi. So they're warning the Congress that 69% of small and mid-sized movie theaters will be forced to file for bankruptcy or close permanently, while 66% of theater jobs will be lost. So they're asking lawmakers to work in a bipartisan fashion to redirect unallocated funding from the CARES Act or to authorize new assistance programs for those businesses. Now, the letter says, quote, "Cinemas are an essential industry that represent the best that American talent and creativity have to offer, but now we fear for their future. Our country cannot afford to lose the social, economic, and cultural value that theaters provide. The movie-going experience is central to American life. Theaters are great unifiers where our nation's most talented storytellers showcase their cinematic accomplishments." And so we have these big names, these big filmmakers all coming together, signing this letter, asking Congress for help to save the theaters. According to this letter, they don't have much faith in how things are rolling out right now, and we need more help. I feel like, again, people can view this in a political way, and how money's being distributed. That's a big discussion. How I see it, I think when people hear this story, they may think big Hollywood. They're looking for a bailout. They're looking for money. They can afford it. Sure, big Hollywood movie industries, studios, yeah, they're gonna be fine. It's these smaller, mid-size, and small movie theaters that are owned locally, that are owned by your average business person per se. They're really struggling. Of course, the way movie theaters make a profit is primarily through concessions. Now, movie theaters are opening. That's great for studios and the movies and the distributors. However, there are still many restrictions on movie theaters where people, when they do go, they're spaced out. You're looking at 25, maybe 50% capacity, depending what state you're in. But also, when you're in the theater, you can't take your mask off to eat. So they're not selling drinks. They're not selling popcorn. And theaters are struggling, even though movies are being shown again on the big screen. And I do applaud the filmmakers who are calling for lawmakers on both sides to put their bickering aside and find something to help out these shops, because just like every other business that's not this conglomerate, huge corporate like Amazon or Walmart or what have you, every mom and pop shop, convenience store, liquor store, bookstore, any small business, they need to be helped out, and included in that are these small and mid-sized movie theaters that are already operating on a shoestring budget. And so
we talked about this a little bit.
Applaud.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we talked about this a little bit with Nancy Shack on One More Thing on WRKO this last weekend. We got to talk to her for an hour, and this is part of what we talked about. I agree. We need to have more. We need to have the help going to where it needs to go for the smaller theaters, for the filmmakers, because we can't have a top-heavy, industry. It's all going to collapse. We need every part of it.
And I do believe what the letter says. It says, cinemas, they are social, economic, and cultural. We have so much value in those aspects from movie theaters. And, everybody has a favorite movie. Everybody loves movies. Now, whether you like the movie theater experience, that's another thing. But movies are a great thing, and it has such a huge impact culturally. And the movie theater experience is a huge part of that, too. And so it would be a huge shame to see many movie theaters that are not a part of this, national, that's owned by the biggest corporations. It'd be a shame to see those disappear. So, again, I just give my kudos to the filmmakers who are lending their voices in whatever way they can to try to get attention to these smaller mom and pop movie theaters that are struggling, that continue to struggle even if they are open in any form or capacity. So kudos to them, and we'll just see what happens. We're all seeing and seeing what happens when it comes to every part of life. This is one of those. But yeah, hoping for the best, fingers crossed, and that's all I got to say about that. Forrest Gump.
Exactly. That's all we got to say about that. We never did hear what he had to say after the Vietnam War and on the National Mall when he got to speak and then they pulled the microphones. It's one of my favorite parts of that.
I know exactly what they say, but we'll talk about it next week on next week's episode.
No.
But thank you so much for tuning in to this week. Again, please follow us, subscribe, please share, tell your friends. The sharing is caring. And so, thank you so much for the Hub on Hollywood.
He's James. I'm Jamie.
See ya.